John was tied to a chair in a dimly lit room. He had no idea how he got there or who had put him in this situation. His head was pounding, and his hands were tied behind his back, making it impossible for him to escape. As he tried to make sense of his surroundings, he heard the sound of footsteps approaching the door. His heart raced as he wondered who was about to enter the room. The door creaked open, and a woman walked in. She was tall and slender, with long, flowing hair and piercing green eyes. John couldn't help but feel a sense of fear as she approached him. He tried to speak, but the gag in his mouth prevented him from saying anything. The woman walked around him, inspecting him as if he were an object. She seemed to be studying him, trying to figure out what to do with him. John could feel her eyes on him, and he knew that he was in trouble. Finally, the woman spoke. "You shouldn't have crossed me," she said, her voice cold and menacing. "You should have known better than to mess with me." John tried to protest, but the gag prevented him from speaking. He could only watch in horror as the woman walked out of the room, leaving him alone in the darkness. Hours passed, and John was still tied to the chair, wondering what was going to happen to him. He had no idea how he was going to get out of this situation, but he knew that he had to try. Eventually, the woman returned, holding a knife in her hand. John's heart raced as he realized that she was going to kill him. He tried to struggle free, but the ropes were too tight. The woman approached him, the knife glinting in the dim light. John closed his eyes, waiting for the inevitable. But then, he heard a sound that he never expected. The police burst into the room, guns drawn. They had been following the woman for weeks, trying to catch her in the act. John was saved, and the woman was arrested. As he sat in the ambulance, getting his wounds treated, John couldn't help but feel grateful. He had narrowly escaped death, and he knew that he had been given a second chance at life. From that day on, he vowed to never take anything for granted and to always be grateful for the people in his life.